Okay, so I got myself a PT Cruiser here. 4 parts. It's pretty rough. It's had a pretty down life. There was a bunch of fuses missing, and then I got it to the point where I could get this thing to start up, drove it off the trailer. Let's just take a quick look. Let's walk around this thing. I was missing stuff in the back seat. Hit in the rear end. This thing was definitely from out of my state based on the title. I can't remember where exactly it said. It was just driven. I think it's man, 139. We need a motor, okay? That's why we purchased this thing. Start it up, it sounds good. I don't have, well, I couldn't get this plug out down here underneath the intake. On the aluminum ones, I think you can. So, got this thing set up so I can just get on here and we can do a compression test. I'm gonna have to do the second cylinder once I'm gonna bring it up to temp again and just double check everything, get a video of it running. I'm gonna put it up on the lift here in a couple minutes, but let's see what happens. All right, I see 150. Like I said, when I started it, it didn't, when I got everything started up, I didn't have any smoke. I mean, it's got Denso plugs, which I'd run the NGKs, I think. 4306s is what probably should be in here. So I think that's probably just the best way to go. All right, I'm gonna get, well, number 3. Yep, we got it started. Get number 3 in here. And that's no good. Well, you win some, you lose some. And this is the one we lose. You know, you get those things where everybody says, go and get yourself a PT Cruiser. For an engine. Well, we got 120 there. That marker sucks. If the gray works any better. Probably not. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so 120 here. Okay, let's give us a second time. Yep. 120. I'm going to redo 3 because I can't get to 2, and we'll double check 1 and see if everyth's the same. But with 3, if 3 comes back low, we know we got a toasted engine, whether it's a valve or a piston. At that point I can do a leak down test when I get it pulled, but I will start it up, that way I know nothing's knocking or banging. You know, with what we paid for the car, basically you try to recoup all that out of your engine. And at this point, this is going to be one of them ones where you lose money on it, and it's just that's how the cookie crumbles. I've never really shown this before. I've bought other ones and lost money on them too because of the engines being no good. So it happens, you know. And then everybody just, how can you say it, when you try to pass parts on to other people, you know, everybody wants a guarantee. You know, no one wants to pay what it costs for the stuff anymore, and it just puts you in a bad place when it comes to dealing with any of this stuff. But hopefully, like I said, we're gonna have to pinch and squeeze this thing and try to get everything out of it, including like the wiring. You know, we got our aluminum wheels. This thing's already missing the catalytic converter. We'll probably pull the spindles and keep them. You know, with this thing having zero, I mean, it's got a wing on the back. You know, if somebody needed window parts to go up and down or some switches, but PT Cruiser parts are pretty much zero and zilch and have no value. So I couldn't figure out, okay, let push on the window. Should just known when stuff is sorry for the bad camera angles, when stuff is just this freaking trashed and garbage. We've got a skim key here that you have to hold like that, okay, and then we take this over here, I've got to pull this out. Got to pull out the key. Now I've got to go out here. Got to unhook the battery, clear the ECM, because we had the key in the on position or near it, and it doesn't pick up the skim when it's turned on, so then it holds a code, which is why I'm showing that red theft light. So this is positive, so we're just gonna ground that out good. Get it back on the positive. All right, now, I don't know if I'll be able to do this, but we'll get this shut. We'll hold our camera and our trigger. We're gonna insert our lovely key. Okay, right there, key in ignition. We're gonna turn this to on, hold it to start. Oh shoot. Alright. So we're running. Okay? I don't know what this will show here. 132. It's getting 24.9. Alright, now. That was a cold start, so not quite sure where the exhaust pipe comes out, but we've got no smoke. So the way this thing sounds like it should run pretty good. Like I said, I'll do a leak down on it. But we have no knocks or nothing now. Down here, get in here. That lower backside of the manifold is missing a nut, so I know it's leaking there for sure. We have a small oil leak there. You know, outside of this, like, I'm not hearing no knocks, no clicks, no bangs, so motor runs, okay? Now, I gotta pull this thing forward just a little bit. It's Gemtastic here. Well, let's just see what kind of motivation we got. See if we got an e-brake that works. Oh! Doesn't really do us much good, but we tried to spin, and if you notice, we had flat tires, so I don't know if someone was trying to tune it with a Diablo this is. I did pop the glove box down out. I popped this off to see if it had a skim issue. What do we got here? Brake light. Let's turn that off. This was lit up, so I just grabbed it and cranked her. We do have a boost gauge here. I don't know if the needles, you can see the needle moving, but one of those fancy glow shift jobs, and it doesn't even light up. So headlights work. So I mean, the radio kind of works. That's a good one. I don't know if this was for an amplifier or some kind of stereo equipment. They had speakers in the back that they ripped out. There was some speaker wire running back there. The joys. The sunroof works. So, I mean, you know, we got a car that starts, we got a car that runs. We know the motor at least does that. It's got low compression. I'm going to get everything pulled apart here off the top, and we'll check 1, 2, and 3 again just to see what comes up. You know, if we have that dead cylinder, I can do a leak down test and see where it's at, but I don't think it is anything to do with the bottom end, because this thing doesn't smoke. None y'all smoke, man. Alright, now I'm just gonna make a little video on my phone, and you know, this is pretty much what it is. I'm going to get everything apart. I'll re-show you everything. Here's our numbers. 150, didn't check. 65, 60, 65, kind of averaged that one out. 120, pretty upsetting. It's probably an exhaust valve burned there. All right, so we did get a little bit further with the PT Cruiser engine removal. Right now I'm pretty much, it's like heater core hoses, exhaust. I got to undo the power steering lines on the bottom. I'm going to pull this bracket out of the way, and then I'll get the chain installed. And yeah, axles yet. So yeah, we got to undo them. But bottom stuff, everything came off in one assembly there for the front. And then I just laid down some cardboard and some rags to collect anything that fell down. So upper and lower engine mounts, this freaking thing here, which this bolt always breaks off, but that'll get everything removed to be able to get this out. So, you know, there isn't much yet. And then, like I said, there is a, maybe I did, there's a really, I don't know, glass pack looking thing right there. I'm going to try to get that pulled. The control arms were recently replaced, so if they look like they're good, we'll be keeping those. Outer tie rod end looks new. What was it? Look at that. Looks like it's a newer inner, but they didn't put the boot on right on the rack on this side. Let's check out the other side quick. Not as new on this side, but it was replaced. So basically not much left. Then we're gonna get this thing loaded up, and well, you know, then we'll do a leak down test on the engine. I believe it's probably going to be a valve, as this thing didn't smoke. I know it did have a leak here. You can probably see that really good. Let's grab a light. Okay, here we go. You can see just how bad it was leaking. There's no bolt there on the bottom, so it was actually puffing out. And look, we had carbon soot over mostly everything over here, and some of the wiring, I should have got pictures of that. It was it had that plastic coating like this right here, and it was all melted. You can see, look, all over the wiring for the fuse box. And I think there's like, there's even some here on the computer on the ECM. You can see it. Well, something got on top of there and melted. I didn't even notice that last time. Weird aftermarket wastegate. I've never seen one. I'm sure people are making cheaper stuff now. Does the turbo look like it's any good? No. Turbo doesn't look the best. I mean, I felt it didn't have hardly any play. A little, so it's probably usable, but it's more something for a rebuild. And not just, like I said, just seems to be the overall, you know, way that this engine and setup is rolling. If I'd have seen what this thing looked like in person, I would have just, honestly, I probably would have just walked away. But, you know, you don't know till you try. And like I said, you win some, you lose some. We'll get this out. We'll go over more stuff of what we saved. There's like the vacuum solenoids. I saved some of the plug-ins. I know that that stuff can be used on a Neon. I'm going to pull the skim and the key and stuff, and probably the door lock. I'll put that all together with this computer, and probably something that'll go on eBay. But it's getting there. All right, the garage is PT-less. Here's some of the stuff. Like the alternator was good. These brackets, I'll probably toss those other bolts there yet, but we got everything pulled apart here. Like I said, there just really wasn't too much with this. And the fact that this had low compression, I ended up had purchased this for somebody because they needed an engine, and then with the low compression, I gave them a way better price, and someone needed it, so it was already obtained before it left. Turbo was actually showing some wear. You can kind of see it in there. There was a couple. There's some more junk that need to get cleaned up. There was a couple. There was a couple things that were pulled. A friend of mine does PT stuff, so you know he kept stuff I think like the hood, and then the radiator and fan assembly, all stuff that I wouldn't use or have any need for outside of, you know what I mean, an actual PT, which I usually don't focus on. Here's kind of the box I kept, some plug-ins, the radio, the vacuum lines, coil, some stuff like that. Let's go take a look at the car. All right, so pretty much this is what's left. This looked like it had a little bit of a bend down here, so I didn't want to trust these struts. I don't really get asked too much for them anymore, and if I would, it would be a $20 item. Pulled some of this apart, pulled the column, and got some copper wire out to try to recoup some. Lots and lots of rust on this thing. Back brakes look like they were replaced not too long ago. Let's walk around on this side. Yeah, just look. This freaking thing just had a terrible life. I mean, oh, it had that rear hub replaced. Look, that was new. But that's it. That's what we saved. Not much. Lots of it went right back in there. The axle that's stripped, the intake, the other axle that was usable, but man, just not much left off of this thing. So right now we got plenty of room in here, so we're going to use this as an automotive dumpster, as I like to call it, and we'll get it filled up to go to the scrap yard. But that pretty much finishes up what we could test, what we got off of here. I mean, you can tell by looking at that, running that exhaust leak. They were melting all kinds of stuff in here. But man, on top of just a rough life and poor service work on this thing, this PT,